Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a book that has shaped millions of lives, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. But, we're not just going to list the 7 habits. Nope, we're going straight to the hidden core, the one big idea that explains why this book is so much more than a productivity guide. It's the real secret to its power. All right, let's get into it.
It all starts with this feeling, this question that so many of us wrestle with. You can do everything right. You can hit all your goals, get the big promotion, earn the respect, and yet there's this nagging sense that something's not quite right, that something important is missing. This explainer is all about getting to the bottom of why that happens. And believe me, this is not some small niche problem. The author, Stephen Covey, really hit a nerve. We're talking over 16 million copies sold in 40 different languages. Now, a book doesn't do that unless it's talking about a deep, universal human need, something that goes way beyond just a few handy tips and tricks.
So Covey figured this out by, just listening. For more than 2 decades, he worked with people who looked like they had it all. On the outside, total success. But on the inside, they were really struggling. He shared some of their stories, and as I read them, you might just hear yourself in their words.
Here's a classic one, right? The person who grinds their way to the top of the corporate ladder, hits every single target, only to look up from their desk and realize the people they care about most are practically strangers. They won the professional game, but it feels like they lost everything that actually matters.
Or how about this? This one's not about a career. It's about personal integrity. It's that awful, sinking feeling of knowing exactly what you should do and wanting to do it, but for some reason, you just can't make yourself follow through. It's a total breakdown in the trust you have with yourself.
And then there's the leader's paradox, They've read the management books, they use all the right lingo, but they just can't get their team to feel committed or responsible. They're in charge, but they feel completely alone and let down.
And finally, there's this quiet tragedy. It's not a huge blowout fight, it's the slow fade. The love and excitement that were once there have just evaporated. So you have the successful exec, the frustrated manager, the person who can't keep a promise to themselves. They're all dealing with different problems, but they're all stuck in the same kind of deep, painful rut. So what's the common thread here?
Well, the answer actually comes from a really personal story Covey told about his own family. It was a failure, a moment where he felt completely lost as a father that led to his single biggest breakthrough. And this story, it's the key to the entire book. So Covey's son was really having a hard time. He was struggling in school, wasn't making friends easily, and he was kind of clumsy, so the other kids would make fun of him in sports. Covey and his wife did what any parent would do. They just poured on the positive reinforcement. You can do it! We believe in you! But it totally backfired. The more they tried to pump him up, the worse he felt about himself, until he just shut down completely.
You see, they were doing all the right things on the outside. They were using positive language, they were trying to coach him, they were tackling his behavior, but nothing was working. In fact, it was making things worse. So what on earth was going on?
And this is where it gets really interesting. This is the disconnect. His parents were saying, "You are so capable." But what their son was hearing was something totally different. He was hearing, "You're so broken and behind that you need us constantly cheering for you just to keep up." All their help just felt like a giant spotlight on his failures.
This was the light bulb moment for Covey, and it was a painful one. He realized that no matter what they said, their words and actions were being filtered through their deepest unspoken belief. And deep down, honestly, they saw their son as inadequate, as needing to be fixed. That hidden perception was the real message they were sending, and it was louder than any of their words.
And out of this really tough family moment came the single most important idea in the whole book. Covey named it the inside-out approach.
Okay, so what does that mean? The principle is simple, but it's profound. You can't create lasting change in your external world, your job, your relationships, by just tinkering with your actions on the outside. That's outside in, and it's why quick fixes don't last. Real, sustainable change is always inside out. It has to start with the inner work, on your character, your motives, and especially your core perceptions.
And this idea is the engine that drives the whole thing. The 7 habits aren't just a random to-do list. They are a carefully designed process for rebuilding your character from the inside out. If you miss this foundational idea, the habits just become hollow techniques that, just like the pep talks for Covey's son, will eventually fall flat.
To really get a grip on this idea of perception, Covey uses this fantastic metaphor. Think of it like a lens, the lens through which you see everything. Now, as Covey looked into this, he found it wasn't just some personal theory of his. It's a real psychological principle called the Pygmalion effect. And it basically proves that our deepest beliefs about another person can act like a self-fulfilling prophecy. The way we secretly see them can actually shape how they behave in reality. It's powerful stuff.
And this all leads to one of the most powerful lines in the entire book. We all like to think we're objective, right? That we see things as they are. But we don't. We can't. We are always seeing reality through our own unique lens, a lens that's been ground and polished by our character, our past, and our hidden beliefs.
So let's bring this back to those problems from the start. With this new approach, you don't fix an unmotivated team with new incentives. No. First, you work on becoming a more trustworthy leader yourself. You don't fix a boring relationship by demanding the other person change. First, you work on becoming a more loving and understanding partner. In every single case, the work starts with you.
And that, right there, is the big takeaway. The most powerful personal development you can ever do isn't about learning a new skill or a new behavior. It's about doing the hard work on the person who's doing the seeing. Because when you change the lens you look through, the world you're looking at fundamentally changes. That's the whole game.
So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. What's that one frustrating, stuck area in your life right now? What might happen if you stopped trying to fix the external situation and instead you turned the focus inward and asked, what about my lens needs to change first? The answer to that question might be the breakthrough you've been waiting for.